Hi. So I just restarted my coaching work this week. I had two exploratory integrative life consultation sessions and one session for a client who is starting on my Clarity foundational coaching package. So the exploratory integrative life consultation, which just easier to say EILC, is something that I introduced this year. I found that in the last year, a lot of times I have people inquire to work with me, and the first session is always about getting a good sense about their story up to this point, about their interior journey up to this point, what has worked, what hasn't. A lot of times people come to me because they feel kind of stuck, right? And everyone has different experiences. Some people have been going for spiritual direction and didn't feel that it helped, or it used to help and doesn't help anymore, or doesn't help them to do the next leg of what they want to understand about themselves, discerning personal vocation, for example. Or other people, just don't know where to begin, right? So a lot of times I found that after a really good first session, people already receive a lot of data about how they should proceed from that point on, and about sometimes I actually have something to offer for the next step, that it is the right place and time and the right season for that person to work with me. But sometimes after that first session, what emerges is that what they need is something else other than what I can provide, right? Because the interior journey is so complex and it's lifelong, and there are different parts to it. I think most of the time we don't appreciate just how complex it is, how many parts there are to ourselves, how many dimensions there are to becoming fully alive and deeply human, and even in terms of building a strong, robust, intimate relationship with Christ. Sometimes we think that it's just about, let's say, understanding more, about scriptures, about theology, or some of us go for spiritual direction regularly, but we don't really understand what spiritual direction is meant to do. So we don't know if it's actually making our lives fruitful, whether it's actually helping us or not, because we don't understand what to look for in spiritual direction. Some of us, we may be availing ourselves to different resources and find that we're stuck, and we don't know why we're stuck. We know what we're supposed to believe, but we can't seem to act, or we know that God loves us and our minds believe that, but if we're really honest, we feel that I don't feel it. I can't feel it. I don't really believe it. And then I feel bad because there's a disconnect, right? And sometimes it's because, the part of the puzzle that now we need to work on at this point in our journey is something maybe about, let's say, the trauma that we've experienced in our lives. Most of us don't even think that we had experienced trauma in our lives, because trauma is not just, like life-threatening, huge, major, acute events, right? The literature on trauma has been a lot more widespread in the last year. There's so much information out there. I think some of you who are following my account and watching this now probably know a bit more also about trauma, that there's such a thing as complex trauma, which is kind of like, a lifetime of paper cuts, right? As opposed to like one life-threatening injury. And, death by paper cut is possible, and it could get infected if you don't heal, and if you don't realize how you're exposing yourself to, let's say, these ways of being wounded. You continue to allow yourself to be wounded, and we often inflict or pass those wounds down to other people, right? Including our family, our children, the people that we work with. So pulling it back to what I was talking about, sometimes what we need in our interior journey is to turn the focus on the human foundation dimensions, the emotional life and dimensions. And there's another huge literature out there under the purview often of psychology, right? That needs to be and can be very powerfully integrated with our spirituality, with our theology. And this is a big part of why I do what I do, because I see how important it is to have all these different parts together, right? And having a clear understanding of even the philosophical underpinnings of why these things are important, right? So I did a video recently, a IG live recently, about the objective and subjective dimensions of discipleship and why it is so important that we also pay attention to the subjective. Right, Pope John Paul II himself was huge on that. Right, he started, or he's part of this movement, philosophical kind of understanding of personalism. Right, which is basically the understanding of how important it is the experience of being human. Okay, which is always subjective. We can't talk about that from just a universal, objective kind of way, which is why every person's path is different and unique. Everyone's story is different. And we can't really make real headway in our interior journey as disciples of Christ, or finding our way, discerning about our mission, right? Which actually really should happen later. I think sometimes we get too caught up about trying to figure out our mission when, you know, we're just a seedling, let's say, as a plant. We're so caught up about fruitfulness, and you'll get there if we just do what we need right now to continue to grow healthily, right? So when we can't even know, like, what kind of environment should I put myself in, where should I go to be nurtured, if I don't know how to understand my personal life story, right? And how God is meeting me where I am, because God always meets me where I am in the particular. Right? So the particular is so important. And this was just magnified again for me this week because of the individual sessions that I've been doing. And it's just incredible how simultaneously beautiful, each person, each life is, and also at the same time sometimes so tragic. There's so much pain that we have minimized, pain that we've forgotten, pain that we've accepted as normal. And we just try to get along, get on with life, thinking that we should find a way to be okay with everything, that we should, be able to draw closer to God and become a better disciple, while not addressing, these big parts of our life. And I just want to, say, God cares. You may think it's nothing, but Christ really cares. Right? What is salvation? I mean, the root of that word, comes from salve, right? And what is salve used for? Healing. Salvation is healing, and we can't really be fully human and most fully alive in ourselves without that healing. And healing is never generic. It's never generic, okay? It is particular to you and me. And so it's so important that we take the time to understand the particularity, the uniqueness of our personal needs and our journey. It's not enough to just go for, kind of like a general understanding, general kind of formation. We need to know how it connects personally into our lives, with our lives. Okay, so just a little sharing on a Saturday morning. I wish you a blessed weekend. And I hope you ponder a bit of what I just shared, and maybe think about whether you have that in place in your life right now. Some resource or someone that you're journeying with, a mentor, a companion, a spiritual director or whomever, who can help you connect the dots in your life and help you see the particularity and the uniqueness of your journey, and understand what is it that you need, what you need specifically to continue to grow in wholeness and to deepen a relationship with Christ.